Which two babysitters would you leave on a deserted island? I'd pick Stacy and Mallory. That way I wouldn't have to hear about New York or being 11 ever again. And Martin decided to go with Dawn and Claudia, which I guess is fine by me. No more bad handwriting or California stories. Wait, the girls get rescued from the deserted island? They don't leave the series forever? Boo!
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
This book was written by Anne Martin. The premise is that Dawn and Claudia are both experienced at boating, something which has never been mentioned before ever in the past 30-plus books. They boat in the ocean, because Stony Brook is right on the coast of Connecticut. Again, something which has never been mentioned before ever. You'd think they would mention their town has a beach at one point. Claudia and Dawn are going to be racing each other.
You know, said Marianne, I really hope you win. I almost replied, duh. Why wouldn't she want her own sister to win? But instead I just said, thanks.
Yes, when Marianne says something nice, Dawn's first reaction is to be a jerk about it. The Babysitters Club! The best friends you'll ever have. Marianne gets her own chance to be a wicked stepsister when Dawn forgets to give Marianne a message from her boyfriend. Marianne fights with Dawn, and she wishes Dawn was out of her life forever. The race is a tie, so the girls decide to re-race. Some of the kids hear about it, and they ask if they can join. It's decided Dawn will take Jamie Newton and her brother Jeff, while Claudia will take Haley Braddock and Becca Ramsey. The trip goes well until disaster strikes. A monster storm appears out of nowhere. Everyone's soaked, they're blown way off course, Dawn's boat is destroyed, and they are marooned on an unknown island. They pull themselves onto the shore, and the kids start singing as they look for shelter. Really? They start singing after a near-death experience? Has Anne Martin ever met kids in real life before? Because this book is telling me she hasn't. The castaways take shelter in a cave, and I have to say, for experienced sailors who have taken classes for months, Claudia and Dawn are pretty incompetent. Like, they don't have a radio, or a map, or a GPS, or a compass, and they don't even know how to tell directions from the position of the sun. So, because they don't know which way is west, they decide not to use the boat to try sailing back to the mainland. Really awful plan there, girls. The book is peppered with stories of the other babysitters. The other girls get 2 chapters each, except Mallory and Jessie, they get 1 chapter each. Mallory cries a lot, and she's sad when they discover wreckage from Dawn's boat. Jessie complains about her bossy Aunt Cecilia, and it's basically just an extended preview of the next book in the series. Stacy's in New York when she gets the news. She wants to go back right away, but Dad says no because he's scheduled to have her all weekend, and it took him forever to get theater tickets, and besides, Stacy can't do anything to help. Those are all very good points, but Stacy doesn't care. Dad's being super unfair by wanting to spend time with the daughter he never sees. Ugh, being a divorced kid is the worst. The next day, the castaways explore the island, and just kidding. Why would they do that? That would make sense. No, our heroes decide to stay on the little beach, and they never go anywhere else. Except Jeff, he sneaks off and catches fish for everyone. We're never told where he gets the fish from. Is there a river or a pond on the island? And we're not told how he's able to catch so many fish with just a stick and a string. He just does accept it. Christy realizes she's got a baseball game scheduled for Monday. She calls Bart to cancel the game, and 70 pages later, he answers the phone. Bart must be upset about being on hold for so long, because he's an angry jerk about it. He accuses Christy of making things up because her team is a bunch of losers. But the next day, Bart sees a news report about the emergency, and he realizes Christy was telling the truth. He apologizes, and they laugh about how often Christy exaggerates. Is that something Christy does a lot? Because I don't remember that from other books. Continuity! If anything, Claudia should be the one with a reputation for making things up. Miss, there's a phantom color about to kill me, and I think I've been adopted because Mom and Dad don't have enough baby pictures of me. The kids go swimming, and Claudia goes back to the boat. Oops! They forgot to anchor the boat or pull it ashore, so it floated away! Again, how are Claudia and Dawn expert boaters? Haley throws a temper tantrum when she learns the boat is gone. See, that's how a real kid would react to being stranded and left alone to die. Speaking of dying, Jamie gets a hospital-level disease. He's delirious, he has a fever and chills. Dawn watches over him the whole night and feeds him water. Marianne fights with her boyfriend Logan, because all the boyfriends are jerks in this book. Marianne turns around and she's a jerk to some reporters. In fact, all of the girls are mean to reporters, and they complain about the press at length. I thought it was pretty out of character for Marianne to mouth off to strangers and have Charlotte Johansson laugh and compliment her for it. Maybe the author had a bad experience with a reporter and she was just blowing off steam? Stacy writes her dad a letter saying her time is her time, not her parents' time, so she should be allowed to do what she wants. Stacy is apparently unaware that she's 13. Dad gives in and he lets her go home early. Dad is also unaware that she's 13. Stacy proceeds to do nothing worthwhile in order to help find her missing friends. Way to go, Stacy. We're getting close to the end of the book, so we need to wrap everything up. Claudia walks down the beach for the first time, and she finds a mirror. Whoa! How useful! She can use it to signal airplanes. And next chapter, an airplane shows up! What a coincidence! Claudia signals the airplane with the mirror, and they get rescued. So basically, they're rescued by plot convenience. The entire town is happy to see them, and the mayor gives a fancy speech. There's a press conference, the story's written up in the newspaper, and as usual for super specials, we finish with handwritten letters that I can't read. The end. Postbook follow-up. Let me start with the nice stuff. I liked this book. It's incredibly different from the rest of the series, which is great. I want the super special books to be super special. I also like the photorealistic illustrations, which are a major step up from the doodles in previous super specials. I also like how the book kept the narrative focused on Claudia and Dawn. That's good. We don't need 3 full chapters of Stacy in New York where she's not doing anything that affects the castaways. Also, there are no vacation boyfriends in this book. A welcome break from that tired plot line. Now for the bad stuff. Claudia and Dawn are extremely incompetent in this book. Part of that is because they wouldn't be stranded if they knew what they were doing, but still, they don't even try to explore the island. Why not? They knew enough to look for shelter and to start a fire, but they didn't know enough to look for food and water, and nobody's curious as to where Jeff gets all the fish from either. These are some very complacent castaways. I think the flow of the book was harmed by switching back and forth between the island and the mainland because nothing interesting happened on the mainland. Chrissy, Marianne, and the others are irrelevant to the story. They don't do anything besides cry, worry, and insult reporters. Another reviewer suggested that this was originally a normal-sized book, and Anne Martin just tacked on all the mainland chapters to make it super special-sized. This book's cover and title are pretty misleading, making you think it's a fun cruise book like the first super special. And why is Jamie larger than Jeff? The 4-year-old is larger than the 10-year-old. Christy looks like she has to go to the bathroom, and I only figured out who Haley is because everybody else was taken. Other people complained that the plot was utterly ridiculous and unrealistic. The prologue to the book mentions the K and Baby Island, and sarcastic reviewers said, "Oh, there you go, Anne Martin's telling us right up front where she stole the idea from." I'd like to think she's just being nice and suggesting some good books for us to read. Sort of like how the Summer Camp Super Special mentioned camp movies, and the adoption book mentioned an adoption book. Overall, I enjoyed this book. It was an intriguing idea, and it played out well, even if the babysitters have to make some stupid mistakes in order for it to happen. If the TV show had lasted more than 3 months, I could easily see this being a TV movie for the show. I would have done a story differently, true, with more focus on the island exploration and less focus on insulting reporters, but it still works. I give Babysitters Club Super Special number 4, Babysitter's Island Adventure, a 7 out of 10.